Our Success Speaks. This is Deborah DeBoer. I am delighted today to introduce someone that I only met recently. Jordan Kagan, the man of silver, he did a presentation at our senior real estate specialist class. And quite honestly, Jordan, I was a little nervous because I had never seen you do anything, and I wasn't quite sure why that applied to the older people we were talking about. And you turned out to be an absolute stellar presenter. And my group, all 20 of them, said, he's fabulous, have him back, let's do other things with him. So Jordan, I'm going to turn this over to you today. You are up with this.
Thank you. So I want to thank NSBAR for having me and for those that came out in the rain today. So we're talking today about trying to create a niche with social media. And I'm going to start a little bit before social media, telling you a little bit about myself. I'm a little bit, for me, my main niche that I use when it comes to social media is Facebook. I would say I was a late arrival. But for me, the use of social media is really personal. I personally learned firsthand that it helps having a niche in your business model. My father, when it comes to niche, did anyone ever hear of smart shoppers? I didn't think that would be I thought that would be the answer. How about smart jewelers? So we got 2 out of 5 have heard of smart jewelers, almost half the room. Smart jewelers is what my father started in the early 1960s. He had smart shoppers. It was a general merchandise store, became more of a jewelry store, and eventually they got out of the jewelry business and 100% watches. Their niche was watches. And it got to the point that I could travel internationally and people would hear of smart jewelers. It got to the point where other jewelers knew we weren't competition. We didn't sell jewelry. Oh, you want a Movado watch, you want a Rolex, go to smart jewelers. They have great pricing, great service, great selection. Any watch you want, they'll have it. So their niche is what made them almost a household name. They did a ton of advertising. So when my dad retired in 2011, and I had been there for 25 years, that was the time that I decided to leave with him. And probably about a mile away by how a bird flies, I opened up with him more of a gold buying operation. It's sort of when all those cash for gold stores were open. I was across from the Secretary of State's office. It was more of a boutique operation for gold buying, and someone across from Northbrook Court called me. So it was less than a mile away. And she said, I am 80 years old. My cleaning lady says I will never polish my tea set again. So you can do with it whatever you want. Polish it yourself, sell it, donate it, let it tarnish, put it away. And she said, can you do me a favor with my husband on oxygen? It's really challenging for me to come to you. Can you do me a favor and come to me? And I realized right around then, every jewelry store almost out there buys gold. Only half of them buy silver. Only even half of them buy silver plate. And none of them were promoting home appointments. So I realized the home appointments would set me apart from competitors. And being able to have my niche being silver would also set me apart. So all those cash for gold stores closed down in about 2014. The price of metals went from silver from 40 an ounce to 30 an ounce to 20. And I also went out of business like a lot of my competitors. I spent way too much money on marketing and advertising in those 3 years when I had Kagan and Company. And I promised myself that if I ever got back into this, I would use social media and business networking to grow my business and create a business. 2018, I was on a divorce support group, and it was worldwide. It wasn't a dating group. And of the 4,000 people on the group, only 200 were active. And if you think of the world being half men and half women, out of 200 mean 100 men and 100 women. and it was a Jewish divorce support group. I don't hide myself being Jewish. The world's Jewish population in Chicago is 3% of the world. And a certain woman that wasn't one of those 200 active people took a liking to what I said and how I treated others. And she clicked my profile and said, oh my gosh, she's local. So figure 3 men on the group are from Chicago. She took a liking from someone here. So now I'm married to that woman. Her sister was my kid's babysitter. I realized, when I said I realized firsthand the power of social media, I have a wife from Facebook. So we're talking business here today, but to me that shows the power of what you can reach from social media. So we got married March 16th of 2020. 2 weeks later, I was furloughed. And as I cleaned out my bachelor pad, I fell back in love with this business that I had, the Kagan and Company, and came upon things that I had bought from people's houses, and realized when I was on furlough, everyone was on lockdown. Everyone was cleaning out their houses. They had nowhere to go. I'm like, I could go in someone's backyard and do this. I could go in their garage and do this, and we're all safe. And I can get the word out there through social media of what I was doing. And 10 weeks later, when I came off of furlough, I was making as much money from this man of silver as I was from my full-time job. I said to my wife, I said, I need a business name that says that I specialize in silver. I could buy gold, but I really want a name that represents who I am. She's like, yeah, you're the man of silver. And we looked at each other and we're like, that's it, we knew. Billions of dollars were spent to create Superman and the Man of Steel, so I became the Man of Silver. Within 6 months after I was off furlough, I was doing this full time in November. My goal every week is 8 appointments. I have 11 this week. Probably too many. I have trouble saying no. But I've realized through social media what I can accomplish. I'm going to pass around some sheets here. So I am on a lot of Facebook groups. I've divided it up to try to, ideally I'm going to post on all of them every week. I actually did a survey because I didn't want to be obnoxious. I didn't want to be the person that was spamming on Facebook. So I was trying to see what these groups were. So as you can see, I've sort of divided the groups into 4 categories, throughout the month. I've looked very carefully at all the rules of these groups. If they say no spamming, no promotion, you must live in this town to post, I'm not going there. If they say we are a garage sale group, no promotion, just selling items, I'm not on that group. Some say, like, my best group is the Glenview Northbrook Neighbors group. It's been fantastic for me. But I know I can only post there on Tuesdays. So I want to make sure I follow the rules so I don't get kicked off. So that is to me really important. I'm really comfortable with Facebook. Almost probably everyone. Is anyone in this room not on LinkedIn? I thought everyone's on LinkedIn. That's another tool. Very different than Facebook. Sharing on your timeline. Your personal, I don't know if everyone here has a business page. That's also something. If you have a business page, you can either share, post personally on a group or share your business page to the group. Once again, look at the rules of the group. If anyone can't find the rules, feel free to reach out to me. I'll pass out my business cards at the end. But yeah, you see neighborhood groups. I'm not a mom. My wife's not a mom. And I'm saying that because one of the best groups is North Shore Moms. If you can get tagged promoted, mentioned on that group, to me, it's like gold. It is such an amazing resource. It's not necessarily always saying, where am I taking my kid for a play group or for an activity. So many people are posting there, looking for suggestions. I'm part of a BNI chapter. I don't know, does anyone know what BNI is? It stands for Business Networking International. It's an international business networking group. They do I think last year, over $20 billion with a B of referrals to members. There is a chapter that I belong to based out of Northbrook. We meet virtually. My dream is for us to partner with NSBAR to do a joint blood drive. I thought it was great what you guys did here last week, but I would love one in Northbrook Court. I would love the whole business community to get together and make it huge. So BNI, our saying is givers gain. And to me, that is what I practice. I think that's what my wife saw. And I'm saying that is, on these groups, the more you can give, I think it builds credibility and respect where you're not in it just for yourself. So, be resourceful. Think out of the box. As you come across articles directly or even maybe indirectly related to housing, posting those, to me, is like planting a seed. When we look around here, we see seeds in nature. These things didn't grow by themselves. Either someone planted a seed or a seedling, and it took years for these things to grow. So I suggest on social media, continue to plant seeds. So is it talking about the update on what housing is? Is it talking about interest rates? Is it talking about the history of real estate rates? Because, we all know interest rates are double what they were a couple of years ago, but historically, we're in a good place. So is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? So to try to get people that want to buy or sell today, you're going to, I think a good realtor is going to have to try to show that the glass is half empty. Don't make them afraid that the rate is 6 or 7%. You can get more. Now is a great time to sell. There's demand. Share these messages. Talk about staging a house. Find good articles of staging, moving, downsizing. What it's like to be a baby boomer owning a 2-story house today. The kids are out, empty nesters. Different communities that exist out there. There's so much that you can share where it's really not you selling yourself as a realtor, but to show yourself as being the expert and having these resources and having these connections.
I have 2 questions for you.
Go.
The first one is, in these groups, do people approach you directly in the groups? Or do you answer, like if someone said, I need a lawn service, do you respond to them, well, not necessarily about a lawn service, but I'm wondering how much back and forth there is in these
Depends on the scenario. But we're a realtors group. And I'm going to tell you, I am never going to promote a single realtor publicly. First. Second, if I was a realtor, I'm going to say PM. I want to create a relationship. And if I'm tagging myself, to me that's a little selfish. I understand why you're doing it. But you're going to be one of 50 realtors, 60 realtors probably tagged on that post. Do you want to be one of 50, 60, or 70? Or do you want to be one of 3 or 4 that private message someone? Sam Rosengarten got a contract because of me. Because I private messaged someone 3 names. I wasn't going to get into being one of the 50, 60, or 70. I private messaged. They created a dialogue. And ironically, Sam moved from Florida, where he got his real estate license originally, to Northbrook. And the person was selling in Northbrook and moving to Florida, where Sam still has his license. It was a perfect planting a seed for him to get a lead. So as much as I can, I won't do much publicly.
Okay. My second question is, how much time do you, how much time in a weekly basis, how much time do you spend doing all this?
Great question. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, I'd say I wasn't getting enough leads, and I wasn't spending enough time on Facebook, and probably wasn't working smart enough. Found someone that I really know, like, and trust, that has some flexible time during the day, and I'd rather pay someone $20 an hour to have someone I trust have my Facebook password to do the posting on my behalf. Probably about 2 hours to do all those groups. Probably about 2 hours a week.
A week. Okay.
And I'd say everything combined, I'm slammed this week. I'm 75% booked this next week. And I'm not going to give up on those posts, because I'd like to be booked 2 weeks out. A good handyman might tell you they're booked 2 months out. And if you like them, you'll wait. There's nothing bad to say I'm really busy. You probably can't say that with a realtor, but just because someone wants you to show them a house tomorrow at 2 o'clock, you could say I have a previous commitment already, which means someone's not your only client. How am I getting my referrals today? Facebook, professional referrals. Within about 10 days, I had 4 different home organizers refer me. Google searches, word of mouth. It's just what you would want in any business, is for your phone to be ringing from multiple sources so your eggs aren't all in one basket. So I think when it comes to social media, you might really feel like you get really comfortable with one before you go to another. I still would not recommend putting all your eggs in one basket. I also mentioned BNI. One of the first categories filled in every BNI chapter is a realtor. Probably second or way up there is mortgage brokers, and third, like a financial planner. If you love what you do and you want to create relationships, maybe consider starting a new BNI. Or being president of some not-for-profit that you really have a passion for. Because when you are that giver, when you are in charge of a group, when I say in business networking, and business networking isn't necessarily social media, but when I started business networking, I was told, expect nothing the first year. Expect a little bit of a return on your investment, meaning time or money, the second year. And all of a sudden, year 3, and I just hit year 3, finishing year 3, all of a sudden expect things to take off. When people said, oh, I tried business networking, it didn't work for me, my comeback line is, did you go to 1 meeting or 2 meetings? And only once was the answer, oh, I went to more than that. So when they went to 1 or 2 meetings, I've always said, how much business did you give to others? None. How many meetings did you have with other people in the room? None. They gave nothing and expected people to give to them. That's not how life works. We say we like to do business with people we know, like, and trust. And that's really important in the real estate business. I'm selling something that's really special, and I'm looking to buy and live somewhere that's really special. I better really blend and have a good relationship with that realtor. And if I don't, I probably should be looking for another one, because it really is a connection. I had an experience with a realtor. I'm going back 25 years. We said we're looking for two and a half car garage. We're looking for a 2-story house, and this is our budget. And she showed us what she wanted to. And we had already sold our condo the first week. We had a 6-month-old baby, and we were on a time crunch. I ended up asking a friend realtor that I probably should have started with before. Gave her the same parameters. It went from 4 listings to 22 listings. So it was quite obvious that first realtor was showing us what she wanted. So we switched. So to me, that's also something. So you talked about communicating on social media. It's not all by yourself. Make sure you are seeing what the message is and not seeing the message you think you want to see. And I had that one in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I talked about the headline of my post was, "Are you thinking of selling your house?" Because it followed up with, takes 3 to 12 months, generally speaking, to stage a house. It doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to think today that I'm ready to sell my house and list it in a week. Are you going to have to do some touching up of paint, get rid of clutter, put stuff in storage? One realtor, all she said, "Are you thinking of selling?" and immediately private messaged me. There's no way I would use this. She was all about herself. She didn't even read my post. She saw one line and that was it. So credibility. Especially if a realtor is like that all over Facebook and all the Facebook groups, always looking for someone and they're always promoting themselves, it probably will send a message out there. And people probably will talk about them. So as you said, probably the more you can do privately, create a dialogue. As I talked about my niche, I work a lot. I'm here because when people are looking to sell, my demographic that I tend to work with is over 60, and or their families. So this morning was an elderly guy, pushing 90, I predict, broke his hip, lost his wife sadly, can't walk the steps. He's downsizing. That referral was from a coin store because the coin store doesn't deal with silver plated. And something I would also like to emphasize here today is a niche. Not just a niche in social media, but having a niche as a realtor. A certain neighborhood, a certain town. A friend of mine is a realtor in the city. 80% of his business is townhouses and condos. Nothing wrong with your niche being multi-unit buildings, the expert of Americana or something like that, where your name is there over and over again, and you're going to have people looking for you to sell and looking at people looking there for you to buy, because they know that like the back of your hand. I was here, last time for a senior real estate specialist. Every day, 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65. I said that then, saying it today, I will continue to say it is a huge demographic. Without baby boomers, I don't know if the Manitoba would exist. Or the only people calling me are going to be the kids inheriting stuff from their parents. But the stuff they're inherited has been sitting in their parents' basement. It makes it tough for you to sell the house because there's clutter everywhere. So often it's multiple generations of stuff sitting in a house. So to me, that's that message out there about staging a house. What do you have that you're not wearing or using? If it hasn't seen the light of day since before COVID even, that's the help you give. So other than on Facebook, what other social media? I'd like to throw it out there a little. Is anybody on Instagram here? Okay, so you see some plus. TikTok? Nextdoor?
Not active.
Need to be more active for sure.
Alignable.
What's this last one?
Alignable. Alignable. Also neighborhood based, and I would say a little bit more on the business side of that next door component. You know?
Does everyone know that what your core business is silver? Is buying silver?
I think so. Yes. Okay. I'm also trying to, last night even, now that I have someone new posting on my behalf, I tried to create, and it happened really quickly. If you know your business, it's unbelievable sometimes how fast things can go. I came up last night with pretty much 13 different categories of different posts, trying to help me realize I don't want to just post about silver every week or gold every week. So I came up with like 13 different types of posts. So like every quarter I could rotate. And I predict I'm going to come up with more than the 13.
An example of some of those?
Just gold, pile of gold and silver jewelry, sterling silver flatware. Can you tell the difference which is silver and which is silver plate? Did you know coins from dimes, quarters, and half dollars from 1964 and before were made out of 90% silver? Don't bring them to the bank and don't bring them to Coinstar. I'm 52. I can't imagine how many of my friends that I grew up with don't realize that 10 years before they were born, that gold, that dimes and quarters and half dollars were made out of 90% silver. If mom and dad dies and there's a coffee can, they might go to the bank with it. $100 of face value could be worth close to $2,000. So if they don't know, it gets back to education. So I'm definitely going to try to diversify. So people know I'm not just buying silver.
Okay. But it's all with it's in the scope of your business, though.
I'd say almost everything I'm doing is made out of metal.
Okay.
Let's talk silver plated. My dad taught me that those that don't appreciate the small sales don't deserve the big ones. In real estate, it might mean, I don't want to sell a $100,000 condo, but that $100,000 condo might have the parents in a couple years selling a $2 million house, and you treated their kids so well, like they were multimillionaires, the parents now list with you. For me, I was raised in Skokie, I was a North Sider, I was a Cubs fan. And by accident, I ended up spending a vacation in Boston at a hotel where the White Sox just happened to be staying. Richard Dotson was a pitcher for them. He was young, he was on the disabled list. He didn't treat me like a kid that day. I was 10 years old. Because of how he treated me, I became a Sox fan, separate from the Cubs fan. So I'm not sure if that's allowed on recording.
That's fine.
But it just, so yeah, you can be a Cubs and a Sox fan, but you can also don't judge the book by the cover. So my dad said, appreciate every buy, every sale. And it got to the point where I don't think he really wanted me to be in the silver-plated business, because for silver plate, I pay about $1 a pound, and for sterling silver, I'm paying over $200 a pound. But that elderly woman on Marine Drive 2 weeks ago found me online because I buy silver-plated. She had 85 pounds, at $1 a pound, that would be $85. She got a check for over $4,000 because she had 200 ounces of silver. Because I was willing to go to Marine Drive for the 85 pounds of silver plate, I got all the silver too. And she's going, I think, to the Admiral. She's downsizing. Classic example of thinking out of the box. Probably close to half my calls now mention silver plated. Because I am willing to go to that house. So often they have more than that silver plated. It's opening up the door now. Never would have envisioned it 2 or 3 years ago. You know, I was buying last year, a year ago at this time, I was buying 80 pounds of silver plate. It's up 50%. I'm doing 500 pounds a month now. When we talk about semantics in life, it sounds a lot better to say a 1/4 ton of silver plated a month than 500 pounds. So if you are doing a post on social media, think about the wording. Take that extra second, reread it, say it out loud. You know, think about the other person, how they're going to be reading it. You know, we always say, you know, you can only hit the send button once. So it's always better to, you know, take that extra second, you know. Anybody here that has created a niche in their business?
I don't think most realtors do. I think most realtors do whatever happens to be in front of them. Now,
That's my expected answer.
right. Now, the SRES class, I know that 2 of the women, for example, who I'm going to do a little advertising for our class, 2 of the women who've been in the class were now doing like a senior fair and talking to people and passing out their, and beginning dialogues with people who are at the senior fair for real estate. So they are trying to operate a niche to create money.
And because they went to that senior fair, one of the communities that wants to fill up their rooms at a senior committee at $8,000 to $10,000 a month, because it's a huge business. I think we have 12% of like a certain age, like say 70 plus, living in a senior community in this country. If that went from 12% to 13%, we'd be at beyond capacity. We can't grow these senior communities 1 more percent. They're that full. But it's such also big money. You know, they want to create programs to get those people 60 and better. Sounds better than senior citizen or 60 plus. 60 and better. So those 2 women were invited to do a panel presentation at a community.
Yeah, I think, and I know them. I think they're going to do great. Quite honestly, I think they're going to do great.
But yes, they're found a niche, something to set them apart. So if 20% of the realtors do at least 80% of the business, think if you're one of those 20% doing 80%, and you could find something a little bit. It doesn't have to be 100% of your business, but you're that expert in Northbrook, or you're that expert in Southwest Northbrook near Glenview, and you continue on social media or on the Glenview Northbrook group or different things in your marketing to set yourself apart from the other. How many realtors are in Northbrook? 500?
I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me if there's 500 realtors. Find something that sets you apart from the other 500. Or the Northbrook SRES. Or you do post about aging and all the different things that are unique. You know, maybe you are talking about reverse mortgages. Reverse mortgages allows a senior to just age in place in their home. You're not getting that listing. But if you're promoting a good SRE, reverse mortgage specialist, and probably 90% or more of mortgage brokers do not want to touch them. They're not easy. Expert, paperwork, training, you know, working with the seniors. because it used to be a shady industry. It's a little bit of a taboo. But, things like that sets you apart. If you've helped mom and dad stay in their house, and when they pass, I'm calling you. You changed their life. You gave them a tool to help them. And those are the kind of things, that can help. So, if anyone is anyone here to try to maybe help create a niche in their business, to grow their business? Anybody here not happy, wishes they had more sales, or does all the realtors here have enough business? Come on, speak up. You doing enough? I'm not trying to put people on the spot.
No. My experience with, my role as a realtor has been from referrals and people that I know. So, and they've taken me all over. So from Elgin to Antioch to Elmwood Park. And I've heard from the day that I became a realtor, you should find a niche. But in my brain, it was how? When I'm so widespread, what niche? It was, an estate, somebody's parents passing away, to first-time home buyers. I just couldn't, I don't know if the words are get my act together, but I was, like you said, you're just chasing the next thing that comes in front of you, so.
I'm the exact same way. I was
I
told this to create a niche, and my people are all over the place, and I'm like you. It's like Elgin, Waystop, and wherever
the business comes. Yeah,
I want it to sound like the one that's open to that's not so focused just on Northbrook, Deerfield, Buffalo Grove, wherever, but one that is open to help my people wherever they are, because they are kind of more spread out now than like where I grew up, and so
we're basically saying we have to get ourselves maybe potentially out of the comfort zone. Because time is money. I don't know what your goals are to make a year, how many hours to work, but I don't know anyone that really living in the burbs here is going to be happy making less than $100,000 a year with a full-time job or household income. And if that's 2,000 hours a year you're working, that's $50 an hour. So if I'm driving to Elmwood Park, which is 45 minutes, and driving back from Elmwood Park, which is 50 minutes, now I have an hour and a half invested, which is $75 of my time, not to mention my gas. So that was a $100 trip for today. Now the time I'm driving around is the same, because I'm driving around Northbrook, I'm driving around Elmwood Park. And I would never say you don't want to do Elmwood Park. And if you get that listing, you're going to promote it. But can you go trying to do a little bit more? And so the question is, as I said, I've hit 52. Have either of you hit 40? You're still both under 40?
I'm at 50, and I'm exhausted doing this, and
the reason
also
I'm asking, you
trying
dealt
to do
with
some investing as well.
You dealt with aging parents.
Yeah.
Speak from the heart. I realized, are your parents in the house you grew up in?
No, they're gone, and I sold their house. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
In 2013.
About a decade ago. You have the ability of doing a post this year. I can't believe it's been a decade since I sold mom and dad's house. It seems like it was yesterday. Talk about those different things you dealt with. Emptying the house. Was there an estate sale? Staging. Allowing people to, as I said, if you don't wear it or use it, why not sell it? That's often what I will say. That flatware set being sold almost never has seen the light of day in the last 20 years. There's still memories attached to it. It doesn't mean it's logical. Take a photo, sell it for the $1,000. You don't need the money, thank God. What can you do with that extra $1,000 you just put in your pocket? So things like that with your parents' house. You're dealing with all of it. Photos don't take up space. And chances are those photos are good enough. But all those things you dealt with selling mom's and dad's house and the memories, putting that into a post, humanizing it, is basically saying, I know what it's like to have to sell a house for someone that's 60 plus, if they're here or not here. I've done it.
I was gonna ask, does creating a niche exclude you from taking those other
Right.
leads when they come?
Right.
It really doesn't. I mean, you can still take those, but giving yourself a niche will help get you additional leads in business, and you can still take, and then eventually maybe you'll be able to do that, and then you'll have a choice of whether you want to take those leads that are far away or not.
Yeah.
It's just contradictory to focusing on the people who you know, like, and trust. If you have,
Right.
500, 1,000 Facebook people that you grew up with, you've known for 20, 30 years, and they happen to be in several different places, and you're supposed to be kind of working off the people that you know already and that know you, yet you're supposed to find a niche in one suburb where maybe 95% of those people don't live. It seems as also
Could be
a little bit as
50-50.
you're trying to create
Could be
more
half.
relationships and taking away from all these other people that already know you, that I thought were supposed to be kind of targeting, and who are maybe more apt to use you because they already know you.
Maybe
Or,
that target is a senior real estate specialist where you did grow up, if 80% of your friends are still there. What town do you live? Do you mind me asking?
I'm in Buffalo Grove. I grew up in Deerfield, and my people are really like kind of more spread out now throughout the suburbs, into Vernon Hills and some up in Grays Lake.
I spent 20 years in
Schaumburg
Buffalo
and-
Grove, so.
Yeah.
And my mom's in Deerfield. And how about you? Where you at?
So the last 25 years, 30 years, I've been in Glenview. Before that, I came from Elmwood Park. So that's, why I know, a lot of that.
And I asked that, and I'm glad I got the answer. Because if neither you have a niche and both you feel like you're running all over the place, maybe it's a cup of coffee. Because your business plan that you could create is going to be maybe the same as her business plan, and you're not going to be competing with each other. And maybe you both are saying, you know what? If I could create a little bit of a niche and it builds my business 10% this year, 20% next year, and 40% the year after, you're going to be like not driving half the time to Elmwood Park. There was nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's
Would
The
we
other
focus
thing I
more?
would-
I'm
The
sorry.
other thing I would consider is geography isn't the only way to define a niche. I would say the question I would ask you if you came to me and said, well,
Yeah.
what about a niche? I'd say, what do you like to do best? Do
You
you like
mean-
to work with first-time home buyers? Do you like to work with seniors? Because, for example, I would not be I shouldn't put this on tape either. I wouldn't be a person who would choose a senior niche. It's slow work. And I'm not good at that slow pace work. There are other people who are wonderful at that. So look at what you like to do best.
right.
Bingo.
And instead of thinking about the geography of it, think about
Which part gives
Which
you?
part
Different
you
kinds
like.
of niches. You're right.
Or if you don't want to think about what you like best, your other alternative would be think about where you make the most money. That would be the other thing. Okay, maybe I make more money in Buffalo Grove than I do in Elmwood Park. I'm just using
Yeah, of course.
than in Elmwood Park. Well, then I think I'd like to do more in Buffalo Grove than Elmwood Park. So you can also do it from a purely financial standpoint. Where do I spend my time most productively? But I would also say, because I'm a big believer in this, pick to do what you like. Work is easier when you like what you're doing. And as I said, unfortunately, I wouldn't pick seniors, but first-time home buyers would be a blast. You kind of, that sort of thing. I'm also fearless about you don't scare me because you have an $8 million house. So I would be okay with that too, because that doesn't make me, I could, I've heard so many people say at one time, I could never work with those big houses. Honey, let me tell you, you could work with the big houses if you wanted. So you kind of have to just figure out where to stretch your comfort a little bit, but also to think about, I'm a big believer in life's too short to be doing stuff you don't like.
Thank you.
What do you want? What would be make you the happiest? I strongly get the sense when you're talking to these older people about their silver, you hear about more than just their silver. Truly.
And sometimes it's good stories. This morning, it was not a good one.
No. And you have to listen to those stories. I mean, in real estate, you have to listen to those stories.
But when you have connections too, has anyone heard the terminology power partners?
Yes.
Okay. I know you a lot from business now. Power partners is, other than your friends, when it comes to a profession, who gets your phone ringing? So let's talk about first-time home buyers or people thinking about buying the first home. I would like to have an insurance agent that is willing to sell renter's insurance, condo insurance. I know a guy, he did 1,200 rental policies last year. You know how many State Farm agents could care less about a rental policy? It's only a $75 policy, $8 commission. 1,200 customers he has because of that. 1,200 relationships. How many of those people will eventually move out of an apartment and buy a home? Because you gave them the time of that day for that renter's policy, and they know your name and they have your phone number, they might be getting that homeowner's policy one day from you. And it's going to be a lot more than $75. So it's, think about the kind of people that are going to be dealing with that first-time home buyer. Maybe it's some presentations. Targeting people graduating from college. If you have kids in their 20s and you've been doing this 20 years, you have credibility. You can relate to them. I'm treating you like you're my own kid. A lot goes into buying a home. Educating them. So yes, it could be. My joke is, please don't put me in a kindergarten classroom for a day. For an hour as a volunteer, all for it. But let me flip it around. I don't think that person that's a kindergarten classroom where they have patience for dealing with little kids, I don't think they'd have the patience for dealing with seniors like I do. So yes, you're 1,000% correct. Find a niche or passion that you love.
Then I would say find the organizations that surround that niche. Just what you're saying. An insurance man, the senior centers, the moms and tots groups, all of the different communities have the park districts, the wherever, and form your community, match your volunteer service to the niche that you like. That's what I would say. Make those two things match. Because so many of you know you make business because you belong to such and such a church, such and such a synagogue, such and such a park district. So match your
PTA.
A PTA. Lots of people made a lot of
Booster Club High School.
Little League. Match your passion with the niche that you want to create.
Let's think out of the box too. First thing is, do any of the realtors here have a business plan?
We're supposed to.
Okay, so I see the little one. When's the last time you looked at your business plan? You're supposed to review your business plan every year. And if this is your business, I challenge you, by the end of May, create some business plan. Mark your calendar to update it annually. Because if this is your business, and it is full-time, treat it like that. Businesses that don't have a business plan very rarely make it that 3-year mark. They're going to be lucky to make it out in 1 year. Because if a house is built on a foundation, and that house doesn't have a stable foundation, the house is going to fall apart. So use that business plan as a strong foundation to build it upon. You brought up not-for-profits. Has anyone here ever given some of their commission to a charity?
Sure. Yeah.
Because they brought you a buyer or a seller? Or you just wanted to?
Just wanted to.
How about thinking out of the box? You approach a charity that maybe you have a passion for. A church, a synagogue, a PTA, or a booster club. and saying for every buyer you or seller you bring me, people like to live near their church, they like to live near their synagogue, they like to live near the school their kids are going to go to. Find a number or a percentage that makes sense to you. For them sending you an email or texting you, and that's all they've done, I have someone that's looking to move and they don't have a realtor, or I've recommended you, $500 donation, $1,000. For a lot of them, that's a big deal. If it is that $1 million listing, you're looking at a $10,000 commission check. When all is said and done, what's $1,000 or $1,500 for you if they handed it to you on a silver platter? Is any other realtor doing that for them? No. You haven't heard of anyone. So let's think about giver's gain. If you're willing to give to a charity and the day after that house closes, you're sending them a check with your accountant, I believe that will be a tax-deductible donation too. Now you did that, maybe they'll send you another one. Maybe they'll acknowledge in the newsletter, we got a really nice, generous donation from a local realtor. Thank you so much.
Jordan, we're coming close
Yep.
to the end.
Any questions? You're welcome, Lloyd. Thank you for stopping by. So as I said, go ahead.
I was saying, we met through Facebook,
Yeah,
so power of
guys
Social
got a
media.
friendship, yep. Friends, wife.
Don't forget your spouse. That's what I would say. Don't forget to remind them to
So
do
they
the
said,
same.
find a single
Yeah.
social media, so if you don't have a business plan, write one. Create, a plan that might include a single social media that you think of and build it from there. I would not put all my eggs in one basket. I'm trying to diversify. I'm on LinkedIn, big on Facebook, but I'm hearing now too, after 3 years, I'm being tagged on Nextdoor all the time. If people really end up liking, and don't be embarrassed to ask your clients to promote you. Someone loved you, you got along with them so great. As part of that thank you card, if you don't mind, if you're on any social media, I would love for you to share about your experience with me.
People love to tell this stuff, the good stuff, about, how can I say this? They love to be in the know. I found the best realtor, let me tell you, let me share it with that. They love to be the expert advisor. So take advantage of that.
Someone sends you 2 or 3 referrals a year, and if you don't know their favorite restaurant or their favorite passion, so at Christmas time or their birthday or their anniversary, you can't give them that personalized gift card, you're missing a great opportunity. You're going to Elmwood Park, you do a lot of business there, someone has a really good relationship with you. I haven't lived here in a while. Any good new favorite restaurants that you have down here? And under John Smith, you're writing their favorite restaurant. After John Smith gives you 2 or 3, even one, they gave you a referral, you got a $2,000 commission. What's a $50 gift card to their favorite restaurant? They're going to remember you. Baby gift? Go to, my favorite one is Build-A-Bear Workshop. If it comes from Aunt Deborah, they're going to remember Aunt Deborah for 20 years because the chances are that Build-A-Bear is going to be still around. It's these little things that create relationships. Create you to have a niche. It could be in social media. It could be in life. It could be as a realtor. You want people to think of you. And yeah, as you said, you want to paint a positive picture. And you have a lot of opportunities to do that.
Man of Silver, I want to thank you. It's been lovely for you to be here today. Bring us some more brochures.
Okay.
All right, ladies, if you want to
Thank
stay
you.
and talk with Jeff,
Happy
Jordan,
to answer some questions.
I love that.
And I know a good printer if you have any promotional items.
Well, we use promotional stuff all the time, so I will tell this to Katie, who's doing most of the buying for that.
Okay.
I'll have her call you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will say too, if you do end up having a niche, if you have a passion or a hobby, you know, my first go around, I'm still trying to figure out the right thing, but first business, I deal with seniors. I had a credit card magnifying glass with my name on it, and that magnifying glass went in their wallet. You know, realtors traditionally have loved their calendars. Maybe a calendar in your house isn't as good as it used to be. But I mentioned to Steve, he went to the Las Vegas trade show, was looking for dashboard pieces of paper or dashboard calendars.
Nice.
That's something different. And I could pretty much guarantee no one you know has ever got a dashboard calendar or a dashboard notepad. And if people are always looking to take notes, or quick glance.
It's not a bad one. That's a pretty interesting.
It's something different.
It's yeah. I mean, you just know your clients, know what they do. If they're in the car a lot and they're working from their car, I mean, it's a great thing to have handy.
I have 3 big boxes of letter openers. That's a bad buy.
Nobody gets letters anymore.
Nobody gets letters anymore. That's exactly right.
And that's the sad thing for me too. You were talking, people, coins are easy. It's made out of metal. I have a metal there. Problem is like stamps. I said there used to be 20 stamp collecting stores in the city of Chicago. One is left. I won't name it. I walked in there once. The guy is nice. I will never step foot in there again. I couldn't stomach the place. It was not, it'd be like you walking into a house and you saying, you know what? Once you stage this, once you empty it, once you get rid of the massive clutter, call me back. Because you know you couldn't sell the house with the way this place was, this store.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing up stamps because they're basically worthless today. No one's collecting them. And even the stamp stores are like, use it for postage. But these are like sometimes 8-cent stamps. You're going to put seven stamps on an envelope?
Right.
Jordan, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for letting me put you on the spot.